In this session, we are honored, we are really privileged to have with us a scientist by craft and I believe a humanist by heart. We have with us Dr. Salkan, who, inshallah, will be inspiring us with his thought around a concept that is relatively novel and new, and I would say not prevalent by that sense, but very useful tool when it's come to Islamic social finance. As the theme is today, it is the concept of PBM, which is essentially purpose bound money for Islamic aid, how that determines the future of Islamic aid. To highlight very quickly, Dr. Salkan, Dr. Yahya As-Salkan, please forgive me for the way the pronunciation of the name. I hope it's
You're
okay.
doing fine. You're doing fine.
Okay, great. Has been an inspiring mentor to blockchain and distributed ledger technology talent program run by the Frankfurt School of Blockchain. And he is also an influential person in the world of information technology. He's worked as a security engineer, team lead at some Microsoft systems in the US, which is a Silicon Valley enterprise, I believe. So he's coming from this background of entrepreneurship, technology, and leadership because he has upon a time acted as a CEO rather, of Jaffa.net, software, and a couple of other pioneering efforts in blockchain, digital identity, Web3, and so on. And he has provided solutions that high profile organizations like Intel, like Fujitsu, for those who understand, who know them, and if at all you don't know, at least you will know BMW. His solution is being used by BMW and of course Oxford University, just to name a few. He's also got a couple of patents. At least he's got about 10 of them. Is that correct, Mr. Dr.
Correct.
Salcon?
Correct.
And of course, all this is coming from someone with a PhD in electrical engineering and computer science from the US. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Salkan. I would want you to start this reflection session because at the end of the day, our ultimate goal and objective is to inspire the world around the values that exist or ways through which we can use Islamic finance to make the world a better place, right? So, but this time around, you have chosen specifically to enlighten us about this purpose bound money. What is purpose bound money? And tell me, what do you have in mind as to how purpose bound money can, through Islamic finance, can make the world a better place?
Assalamu alaikum jami'an for all of you, and Ramadan Mubarak for all of you as well. I'm really honored to have been participating and invited for this reflection. I actually prepared the presentation, if you will. I can go through it, or I can answer you this question, then go to the presentation as well. Purpose-bound money, in a nutshell, is when you spend money on a certain purpose, you need to have a set of protocols or an infrastructure, a way to guarantee that you can only spend this money on that particular purpose. And ever since the blockchain becomes the rail of distribution of property or distribution of wealth or money, purpose-bound money is using blockchain for the distribution of the money. When it comes to the Islamic finance, we'll take, for example, and I will go through it through my presentation, the zakah and sadaqah as an example. If you think about it, zakah and sadaqah is actually a purpose-bound, because in Quran specifies specific reasons and purpose of the individuals who can actually benefit from the zakah and sadaqah. So that's in a nutshell. It's using blockchain for the distribution of money in terms of the Islamic aid, if you will. Zakah and Sadaqah is the cornerstone of distribution of that money or aid. So that's basically what is a purpose-bound money. And I will give some sort of a quick presentation about the purpose-bound money, what is the general characteristics, and what is specific about purpose-bound money into the Islamic finance. And also I will go with some features and advantages afterwards. So let me share my screen with you all. Okay, what's happening here? Can you see my screen?
It's not coming up yet.
It's not coming.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not up yet, but I believe it's coming. Okay, now we can see.
it?
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
So purpose-bound money, the presentation is entitled Purpose-Bound Money for Islamic Zakah and Sadaqah, and I present it as a halal crypto solution as well. So what is purpose-bound money, which is exactly your question originally? PBM refers as a protocol that specifies the condition, which is basically the purpose, upon which an underlying digital currency can be used. PBM are bearer instruments with a self-contained programming logic and transferable between two parties without intermediaries. And that's a very important feature, that it eliminates all the obstacles, the bureaucracy, the delays, and also fees for the intermediaries. And often in time, actually, the aid got lost because of those intermediaries. And if you don't understand it yet, don't worry, I will explain it in more details. So let's just look at it from a humanitarian or an aid perspective as a general. Assuming that one wants to distribute humanitarian aid or crisis like the pandemic, if you wanted to achieve the sustainable development goal, providing aid, educational aid or health assistance or sadaqah or zakah, purpose-bound money will make sure that all of these kinds of aid will go to the specific purpose and to the specific beneficiaries, whether are poor individuals or people who are living in poverty, children with need, refugees, orphans, marginalized women, special needs, and special illness. And there is a little bit of a distinction here we need to draw between general purpose PPM, purpose-bound money, and zakah specific. In general purpose, or in general, purpose-bound money is actually, if you wanted to distribute, for example, educational aid through purpose-bound money, then you issue a purpose-bound voucher, which is essentially is an NFT wrapped of the amount of money that you wanted to donate. Then you distribute that voucher to the beneficiaries who meet a specific purpose or specific conditions, like living in poverty, or a child with need, or a refugee, or a martyr family, or whatever it is. Then beneficiary can spend these vouchers at pre-authorized services. This is the general purpose-bound money perspective. If you, for example, provided a scholarship for a student at the university, through purpose-bound money, you will you issue a voucher that is wrapped with the amount of the scholarship. Let's say you wanted to give that student a $500 scholarship to go to the university. That student, because of their needs, cannot actually use that 500 money except at the designated university. And that's why we call it purpose bound. So when the purpose is actually fulfilled, the money can transfer from the beneficiary wallet to the service provider, in this case, the university. This is in general what PPM. In terms of zakah and sadaqah, there is a little bit of a difference. The reason for that, because in Islam, distribution of sadaqah and zakah, you cannot actually dictate how the or where the beneficiary can actually spend it. You just give them the money. And if we look at the what the Quran says about zakah, it's very clear that zakah is actually and sadaqah is actually a purpose bound. Zakah expenditures are only for poor and for the needy and for those employed to collect zakah and for bringing hearts together for Islam and for freeing captives or slaves and for those in debt and for the cause of Allah and for the stranded travelers. Those are the targets of the zakah. So zakah by itself and also sadaqah is absolutely a purpose bound. So that's why we think the purpose bound money is an excellent infrastructure and technology can be used for the distribution of zakah. I've said about the general purpose bound money, but PBM for zakah, if you noticed, that if we wanted to distribute zakah and sadaqah through PPM, these are the target beneficiaries: the poor, the needy, the freeing captives, for those in debt, cause of Allah, and stranded travelers, per the Quran. Now, in the general purpose-bound money, we give a wrapped voucher for the beneficiary. In terms of zakah, we provide an actually non-wrapped voucher because, as I said, in Islam, you cannot dictate where or how the beneficiary shall spend the money at. So that's a very important distinction here. So, in terms of the distribution, then it's very obvious that we can issue the voucher, the purpose-bound voucher, which is zakah or sadaqah, and distribute vouchers to the beneficiaries who meet that purpose, as I indicated earlier. So the beauty also of the purpose-bound money, at least the way we are working on it, that it actually can accept any kind of money, whether it is crypto money, fiat money, dollar amount, Saudi riyal, United Arab Emirates dirham, or euro, or whatever it is, and we convert all kinds of money into stable coin and then distribute it to the target's beneficiaries. So in terms of this, we contribute any kind of fiat or crypto, BBM then issue and distribute aids and zakah in stable coin. And that's one of the beauty of it, because beneficiary with having a stable coin, they don't need actually to have a bank account. They can actually cash out the stable coin anywhere in the world without having or necessary having a bank account. So the fact that BBM is actually using blockchain, that makes it is very fast, transparent, and secure. Every transaction that we are doing on the PPM is actually published on the public blockchain. So the issuance, the redemption, or the distribution, and the transfer is also recorded on the blockchain. Donors and contributors, therefore, know where the money is actually used, when and how, which is very important. I mean, often in time, when you wanted to distribute zakah, you always distribute zakah in your neighborhood or in your city. You don't know how to distribute it in another city or another geo, but it becomes very complicated if you wanted to transfer the zakah into different destination or different country. And another feature which is very important with the PPM, that it actually eliminates all third-party intermediaries. Money goes directly to beneficiaries' wallet via blockchain. And there is no need for one to actually distribute it physically because it's actually published in the blockchain. The beneficiary in his or her wallet can actually automatically get that voucher and go ahead and spend it. And of course, needless to say that beneficiaries can be individuals or institutions. So BBM, the fact that it is actually stored on the blockchain is highly secure. And as I said earlier, also BBM is borderless. A donor can contribute and send money to any beneficiary worldwide. The beneficiary that receives the stable coin can spend it also worldwide because stable coin is actually recognized all over the world nowadays, and also can solve the liquidity problem within that specific location or geo or domicile. A stable coin is setting the standard now and exceeding actually Visa transaction worldwide. With BBM, beneficiaries do not need a bank account, as I said, and then therefore it could be working as a vehicle for more financial inclusion. Currently, we're supporting in our solution a well-proven stablecoin, USDC, Circle, USDT, Tether, AE coin, which is United Arab Emirates coins, and PayPal stablecoin as well. And the reason we're actually using stablecoin because there is no currency fluctuation or influence of the inflation of the destination country, which is a very important factor when it comes to the fairness of the distribution of Islamic aid. As I said earlier, BBM is secure since we are using blockchain. It is totally transparent. Donors or contributors can know exactly where all the transactions and when it's happening because it's stored and recorded on the open blockchain. And we also can measure the impact. For example, when you give the zakah for a poor people and see how they actually spend it, you know exactly the benefits and also that the money that you contribute is actually went to the right person and to the right locations. And it is trusted since we are using stablecoin. We cannot issue one single penny if it is not fully backed by stablecoin before we issue the voucher. It is scalable. As I indicated, stablecoin is actually recognized worldwide. And again, which is very important, often in time that the beneficiaries don't need or they don't have actually bank accounts. So in BBM, you actually don't have or need to have a bank account. And it's traceable since it is on the open blockchain again. So why did we, just for quick, why did we suggest to use a stable coin with BBM? A stable coin is actually recognized worldwide nowadays. It is revolutionizing the financial transaction. That's an admission by Visa itself. It is highly adopted beyond the trade. Just to give you an idea, stablecoin processed between 15.6 trillion to 27.6 trillion transactions during 2024, more than Visa, which actually transact or processed only 13.1. So you can compare the volume, even with the short history of stablecoin, that actually almost doubled what Visa is actually processed last year. And stablecoin is actually on the rise beyond remittance and trade. And we think zakat distribution and sadaqah distribution is an excellent example of using stablecoin to make it a worldwide adoption. So we believe that BBM is halal. There is no riba. What you get from the donor, you distribute to the beneficiaries. No gharar, no volatility of the money, and no value fluctuation whatsoever. Because stablecoin in any country, whether it's USDT or USDC, it's going to always equal to $1 amount, and in case of the AE coin, it's going to be one dirham at all time, no matter what the destination country is actually having financial or troubles or inflation. So this is what I actually would like to share today. And so we think that PBM in general is an ethical money with a purpose, and that's the whole purpose of zakah and sadaqah. I would like to actually stop here so we can go with question and answer or whatever it is that you find appropriate.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yahya. I didn't want to interrupt you. I wanted you to lead on your conversation with the presentation. I know you were getting somewhere, and I think where you landed it is quite apt. Basically, ethical money with purpose. And to this, I really want to ask you this question, and Dr. Yahya, why is PBM important? Why does it matter?
It matters for several reasons. First, it solves significant problems in distribution of zakah and sadaqah. One of which, the traceability. I mean, often in time, and it's actually recorded in the literature that about 25% of aid actually get lost. Just to give you an idea, the volume of zakah in 2024 only mounts to almost $1 trillion. And you can imagine if 25% of those $1 trillion get lost. A lot of people can benefit out of it. That's one.
True.
Second, why PPM is very important. It is, as I said, it's borderless. Nowadays, distribution of zakah across different other countries is a challenge by itself. For example, currently I live in Palestine, and for whatever reason, many people are actually would like to actually contribute, whether they're zakah or sadaqah or donations as aid to Palestinian families, poor or whatever it is. In case of Gaza, it has been actually raised on the rising. And there is no way or mechanism to actually distribute those money without the intervention of banks, which takes a lot of time and effort. With purpose-bound money, when you actually publish it on the blockchain, it is fast. The minute that you actually can issue a voucher, the beneficiary will receive it, and the beneficiary can actually redeem it anywhere they wish to actually get the benefits out of that voucher. So with all those purposes, I think PBM is really very important. And this is a technology already readily available for us. So we may, as well as Muslims, to take advantage of it and to solve some of the issues of the zakah and distribution of Islamic financial aid.
You did mention something, Dr. Yahya, and you can put down the slides. None that were done, unless you want to highlight something later on. But more on my question will be this PBM thing. To be honest with you, I think it's new for many. When we throw out the title, deliberately we use PBM so people would ask what it is, right? And the feedback we'll get is, what is PBM? That would tell them purpose-bound money. It's okay. Is that a new concept? Is that something new? So essentially, how long has this PBM been around, and how does it work on a blockchain?
Well, PBM is actually a very new concept. It's a new concept. It started mainly recently during the pandemic. And the credit goes to actually the government of Singapore, where the government wanted to actually distribute government vouchers for the individuals in Singapore during the pandemic. So they issued a voucher that they can distribute, whether it is for food or for certain reasons or health. So they wanted to make sure that the voucher they actually distribute is actually can only be redeemed or spent for that particular purpose. So it's a very new concept, actually. Uh, when we start working on it ourselves in Impacto Money, if you allow me, we realized that zakah, as I said earlier, and also sadaqah is a fully a purpose-bound case.
True.
So we took it and make it more general, if you will. And this is a technology already exists. So and I've been watching and following the debate in the Islamic scholars for whether crypto or blockchain solution is halal or not. Uh, uh, the distribution of zakah using PPM or purpose-bound money is actually, as I said in my last slide, is there is no riba for it because there is no interest, no gharar whatsoever, no betting or betting on any kind, and no fluctuation of money. Some scholars actually against using crypto because it actually fluctuates in value, and that's why we're using stable coin for no fluctuation of value. And it's actually to the opposite and solve some significant financial problems or economical problems in the destination countries as well, due to the fact that often in time the destination countries may suffer from inflation or devaluation of their local currencies or so on. So actually PPM is actually a new concept, and to my knowledge, Impacto Money is the only solution that actually address or using PPM on the blockchain for the purpose of distribution of zakah and also sadaqah or Islamic aid.
Quite interesting. And in this regard, I want to know, with this exploration on PBM, what are the regulatory outlook to it?
Yeah,
Are
that's a very good
regulators sort of
question.
in favor?
That's a very good question. I mean, in terms of scholars' recognition of PPM as halal, there is fatwa for that. In terms of domestic regulation, it is the easiest case of adopting crypto is allowing stablecoin. Because often in time, countries who actually prohibit trading of crypto under the umbrella that crypto money is actually fluctuates in it's risky and fluctuates in its value. By the fact we are in BBM, we are using stablecoin, or in Impacto Money, we are using stablecoin. That eliminates this justification for preventing using crypto. But you're right. I mean, there are some regulation issues need to be taken care of. The countries who are, in order to operate, the countries who are actually crypto friendly will be easier much than countries that they don't. But again, beneficiaries don't need to actually have, or I mean, if I wanted to distribute zakah voucher to anywhere in the world, as long as they have the wallet for the PPM, they actually still receive the stable coin and they can use it anywhere in the world.
Oh, that is true?
That's true because it's
Because
an
my
open
understanding
blockchain.
is you need to have a crypto exchange before you can actually receive the money. Otherwise, how would, for instance, people in, say, in the Gaza Strip amidst the war, how would donation get to them through this PBM?
Well, as I said, one stable coin is equal to $1.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. MetaMask recently announced a MasterCard associated with the MetaMask wallet. And by the way, we support MetaMask. So if you have any crypto money, whether it's stablecoin or otherwise, you can go to any Visa or MasterCard point of sale and you can spend it in your local fiat currency.
the local fiat currency. So
Yeah,
that's essentially removing the hurdle of
yeah,
interoperability, the hurdle
absolutely,
of border.
absolutely.
And does it make it cheaper though?
Of course, it's cheaper because there are no intermediaries. Intermediaries, usually banks, any transfer of money, banks actually have a cut. And if you transfer it from one country to another, probably you will go to two, three different banks, the corresponding bank and this bank and that bank and the issuer bank and the destination bank and the like. But when PPM, it's totally fast and actually much cheaper and lower cost as well.
Wow, interesting. And in this case, Dr. Yahya, I know time is moving very fast, so I'll be throwing my questions in rapid succession. And I
Yeah,
trust you would bite them up and hopefully help us understand this thing better.
yeah,
How does this apply with respect to Islamic aid?
yeah.
For
Well,
instance, in the
Islamic,
case of zakat,
yeah.
what's the
So,
value add?
yeah, Islamic Zakah has so many different already existing organizations. I mean, collect donations or zakah from individuals or institutions, and they actually have a database and they go ahead and distribution. One of the use cases that we can actually work as a mechanism of delivery for zakah or associations. So they can give us, for example, their database of the beneficiaries. We issue the vouchers. All what they need, the beneficiaries, is to have the Impacto Money wallet or the BPM wallet, and they will be pushed with their zakah, and they can go ahead and spend it. So this is one case of doing it.
Okay.
Additionally, we're thinking to also working with not only with the Zakah Association, but also with individuals. Uh, we can, as I indicated in the slide, we can receive any kinds of donations, whether it's in crypto or fiat currencies. Then we transfer that donations into stablecoin and distribute it to beneficiaries. In the
And
distribution of beneficiaries, there are certain criteria you can actually also specify. For example, you can specify the country, you can specify the city, if you will. You can specify whether your financial aid, since your question about Islamic aid in general, to go to a female, not male, or male against, or not female, or both. You can specify that you wanted to your donation or aid to go to a refugee camp and female and poor and with a special illness. So all of these combinations of the purpose that you actually provide that can be embedded into the voucher we distribute to beneficiaries. So
and
that
and, and I get
opens.
something, Dr. Yeah, sorry to cut you, right? Just to tie
No,
up
no,
with
go
this
ahead,
slide.
Dr. Amin.
At the end of the day, I, the donor, I'm able to see a trail of all these criteria to see that, oh, it's actually hitting the target as I have defined it. Correct?
Absolutely. I mean, when you donate, you specify the causes or the purpose that you want it to your money to go to, and the voucher will issued based on the purpose that you specify.
This
And
is
you can
wonderful.
trace it on the blockchain. You can know exactly it has been spent at what time, to what wallet, and so on and so forth. And that's the beauty of it. There is no such solution exists today, including with the Zakah associations and the like, that you can actually have the traceability and the transferability of the donations all the way to the beneficiaries.
Indeed, indeed, there isn't so much of that solution today in the world.
Yeah,
Yes, blockchain does promise, transparency, immutability, and whatnot, right? But such application of blockchain in the form of a PBM does come across more as a holistic solution,
yeah,
like hitting the
absolutely,
target on point.
absolutely, absolutely.
And on this note, Dr. Yahya, can you then can you then explain how it works in the case of Waqf? Is there an
Uh,
application or use case currently ongoing in the case of Waqf? Because Waqf is essentially another form of Islamic aid.
yeah. Well, that's a very good question again. Waqf is actually a voucher or NFT, but not transferable.
Hmm.
That's exactly the same concept. I mean, if you think about Waqf, if you have a property you wanted to have it as a Waqf, then you issue non-transferable, non-cashable voucher or NFT, and you publish it on the blockchain, and nobody can actually own it or transfer it or actually cash it. It's the same concept. It's a purpose-bound money. Waqf is a purpose-bound
Amazing.
money. Thank you for the example.
I mean, essentially, I'm just thinking about the use case because at the end of the day, what's the point of technology if it doesn't add value?
Exactly,
Right?
exactly.
And the whole point of this conversation is to see how this new concept within the blockchain distributed ledger technology world can, together with certain Islamic finance principle, make the world a better place.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. And the counter argument is still correct. What's the purpose of technology if we don't use it for the benefits of it? So the
Absolutely.
technology is there. We need to actually capitalize on it and use it.
And if we're able to use this, apply PBM for zakat, in this case, I want to believe it will be a solution that can be applied for all forms of Islamic relief, including sadaqah.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct.
So
Because of the
essentially,
fact.
go ahead, Dr. Yahya,
Yeah, no,
please.
no, go ahead. I mean, because of the
So,
features of transferability, makes it
yeah.
so many different variations of the Islamic aid can be attained or can be implemented by purpose-bound money. Waqf, as you just rightly so mentioned, that can be used also as a purpose-bound.
So,
Absolutely.
essentially, right now, PBM does provide a holistic solution that has at least about four benefits, right? If I may count, first, it increases trust in the sense that the donors can be confident that their contribution are used as intended.
Correct.
Second, it reduces corruption, tied to the
Correct.
first. But the fact that it is on a blockchain, so that immutability and transparency sort of minimizes the risk of fraud and misuse of funds.
Correct.
Correct? And about the third will be improved efficiency because it's got this whole thing perhaps linked with a smart contract. I need you to correct me if I'm wrong, such that the process is automated and streamlined, and this sort of make aid delivery sort of smooth and reduces the whole administrative cost because aid is also expensive actually
Yeah,
to
yeah,
to
very true.
administer.
Very true. And as I mentioned, there is no third intermediaries. It cuts all the intermediaries. It's fast. I mean, they got the money immediately.
And ultimately, which is about the fourth or the last point, is about the impact. All right, the
Yeah,
funds are utilized more efficiently, more effectively, such that the impact on the beneficiaries are sort of maximized. So that 25% in the statistics that you mentioned earlier, we take it off,
yep,
or we
absolutely.
reduce it down to a bearable minimum.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And
So
that's
so
very important factor because uh, uh, the more you actually trace the impact and measure the impact, the more confidence of the donors increase. The fact that we're using stable coin again, that the value is actually maintained across borders, that also in confidence of the donors to actually pitch in more and more and using these kind of technology for their donations and humanitarian aid or Islamic aid.
and in this case, Dr. Yahya, does what is the uptick like? Is this, I know it's emerging as you said, but how is the reception? Is it picking up fast? What's the adoption rate?
That's a very good question. We actually just finished the product, the Impacto Money, and we are
Okay,
in
so
final stage.
Impacto Money is your own initiative applying this PBM as a technology, right? As a model.
Absolutely correct, correct.
Okay, so
And
yours is
and
one.
from our research, Impacto Money is the only purpose-bound money using stablecoin, and that can be used as halal crypto solution as well. So we have two major advantages here. We are the first BBM that using stablecoin, and we are the first to actually provide a vehicle of distribution of Islamic zakah and sadaqah, and which could also be applied to waqf in terms of Islamic halal crypto.
Impressive, amazing. I think right now we need to turn to the audience. Enough chit chat between you and I. If I believe we can have a separate session where we speak for hours exploring different angles of
Yeah,
it. But
yeah.
yeah, let's turn to the chat box. We have a couple of messages waiting for us. And for those who also would like to participate in this conversation, I'd like to encourage you to drop your comment either on LinkedIn in the comment section, or if you're watching via YouTube, drop it in the comment section. It will be picked and sent over to us here. But if you're connecting with us on the studio using the Riverside platform, you just drop your comment on the chat box. We have a question here, Dr. Yahya, that's coming from Shafiq. He said, "Thanks, Dr. Yahya. I think he also enjoyed your sharing so far, like I did. How can we use PBM for donation to Gaza? And for example, without a bank account?" Yes, this is an interesting question because you did mention that you do not need a bank account for a PBM, Dr. Yahya. So please go ahead.
Well, we have here to distinguish between two things. In PBM, once you issue a voucher or a donation to the beneficiaries, you don't need a bank account. In terms of collecting a donation, that's pre-issuance of voucher or PBM. Multiple ways can be done. If you wanted to avoid bank account, the only method is actually to donate through crypto to us, then we can distribute it to the beneficiaries. That's my answer to this question.
Okay,
So the
maybe.
only way a donation can be sent to the destination who does not need a bank account is to use also crypto-based, whether it's stablecoin, Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, whatever it is, then we transfer it into a stablecoin and give it to the beneficiary.
So let's break it down, Dr. Yahya. In my own case, let's say for instance, I want to transfer to donation to the people of Gaza or people of Sudan or the Uyghur Muslim in China or perhaps people in the northern part of Nigeria that are experiencing, oppression of bandits and whatnot. How would I go about it?
Again, if you wanted to use Impacto Money, in donation wise, you can, if you have a bank account, or you wanted to send it by cash to us, you send it through a bank account of a cash or a Visa.
Okay.
If you don't have a bank account and you want to send the money, the only other methods that available is actually through crypto. And stay tuned, we will be publishing the wallet address that can receive crypto donations without the utilizations of banks.
Okay, so
Then in
essentially,
your donation, when you donate, as I indicated earlier, you can specify the purpose. I wanted to donate it to Gaza, to Sudan, the country, the purpose you can actually specify. You can say this donation, I wanted to send it to Gaza or to Sudan or to China or to whoever you want. I want it to be used for education purposes for a female in a poor family, for example. Then you send the money, then we process it and change whatever kinds of money that you sent, whether it's cash or crypto of other kind, Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or XRP or whatever it is into a stable coin, and we send it to the beneficiary. Once it is actually issued as a voucher, it becomes totally normalized to a stable coin.
Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting. So I'll move on to the next question. This is quite short. Is PBM an app?
Yes, it's going to be a wallet in the hands of the beneficiaries. And we're thinking also to make an app for the donors as well.
Okay, so Dr. Yahya, let me get this correct. PBM itself, is it an app or it's Impacto Money that is an app?
Yeah, PBM is a protocol or a concept in the blockchain.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Impacto Money is going to be the app that implements PBM for the purpose of humanitarian aid, zakat, Islamic aid, and so on and so forth. But
Okay.
PBM
Now
is a
this is
concept, is a blockchain concept with utilizations of smart contract as well, as I discussed earlier, perhaps briefly. But PBM is a protocol on top of the blockchain that utilize for wrapping NFT into the destination of the beneficiary, that when the purpose is met, that money can be fulfilled.
wonderful, wonderful. So I move on to the other question also from Shafiq. It says, what's wrong with the current system for fund transfer for zakat in Islamic Bank? Is it because of their numbers? I think it's trying to ask if it's because the number of Islamic banks are few, that's why there's something wrong with zakat distribution, or what do you think?
No, actually, the current system first, if you wanted to transfer, let's say, from Dubai to Sudan, and using the Islamic banks, let's just take that an example. It will take 2 3 days, or sometimes 10 days, to receive from Dubai to Sudan, Islamic Bank. So that's one of the problems, is the delay. Each
Okay.
bank in the middle will have a cut, finance fees, and so on and so forth. So the money that you actually donate does not actually reach to the final destination intact. That's the second thing. Third, if you donated in certain currency and you send it to the destination currency, day after day, the currency fluctuation in the destination country can actually slash a significant portion of your donation, perhaps, because of the fluctuation of rates, sometimes
Valuation.
up and sometimes down, and what have you. So for all, number four, which is also very important, by the fact that you send it through the bank, the only thing that you know that it actually received to the bank. You don't know if actually distributed based on the same purpose that you actually intend to. With PBM or Impacto Money, it is fast. There is no intermediary for charging. It is transparent, that you can know exactly that your money is actually distributed on the same purpose as you donated. And also there is no fluctuation of value
No
due to
fluctuation of
inflation
value.
or fluctuation of currency rate, exchange rates. Those are the
Interesting.
main reasons. And when you distribute it in Impacto Money, you don't have to go physically to reach to the destination people, or the donor, the beneficiary has to come to to the bank and collect the money, which they have to have a bank account at that time. In our case, on Impacto Money, you don't need to have a bank account, or you don't need to have physical distribution at all.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. And then we've got a last
Needless to say,
question.
of course, Impacto Money or PPM works 24/7, not like the banks. Banks sleep after 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock, and they have weekends. Blockchain does
No,
not have a weekend.
I think it depends also. I think banks are waking up now.
Yeah.
But yeah, right said. I mean, this PBM protocol, which is something I'm more interested in, and I'm glad that with your own initiative at Impact on Money, you're able to leverage this protocol to make the most and deliver um, for Islamic aid. I think it's something novel. I think it's something very useful. Now we've got another question, which is from Oman. Is asking what are emerging Sharia opinions on PBM?
I'll probably address it briefly at the end of the presentation. Uh, I believe PBM is fully halal and Sharia compliant because all the criteria for violating halal or Sharia compliant is not occurring with PBM. So there is no interest, no riba in distribution of zakah. It's a mechanism of distribution mainly. And there is no gharar whatsoever, no bidding or anything, no fluctuation of value. Actually, to the contrary, there is a reservation of value in PPM or in, if you, especially in Impact to Money, we use a stable coin for that reason. And it is fair because when you send money, you know exactly the purpose that you actually intend to receive the target beneficiary to the target audience. So with all those factors, I could not find one single reason why PPM is not going to be halal or Sharia compliant.
Okay, okay, that is interesting. I mean, and I like this question because one of the issue that is existing with the conventional ways or the traditional ways of sending money is the issue of Sharia compliance itself. You
Yeah.
see, and either direct Sharia compliance or indirect in the form of an associated Sharia non-compliance, it becomes an issue. So PBM, as a model itself, is Sharia compliant, but then the application of this model, whether by Impact to Money or by any other initiative or entity, it becomes necessary and important to verify it or validate a Sharia compliance position. So it signals to the donor that, look, your donation that is intended for ethical purposes is channeled through a vehicle or an instrument that is also ethical and Sharia compliant,
Yeah.
right? It becomes very important. I think on this note, we will sort of draw the curtain. But before we go, Dr. Yahya, in light of what have been discussed all along, tell us what message do you have as a point of your reflection for humanity in general?
Well, my final message, honestly, is we ought to, as Muslims, to go beyond only the theoretical discussion and the scholar discussion whether crypto halal or not. We need to find a niche use cases like the distribution of zakah and sadaqah and apply the technology in our hands like the blockchain and stablecoin and to put it into effect and to practical solutions. My message, we have so much intellect that we need to actually go beyond only the scholar discussion and putting solutions in the hands of the individuals that solve some problems. We believe PPM or impact on money is one example for that, and it's going to be considered a halal crypto solution. And there is huge other use cases and that can also utilize the technology in our hands, especially the blockchain for fairness and traceability.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Yahya Saklain. You've had it all, my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, joining us from different parts of the world, and those that will be coming to see this wonderful sharing and reflection on the use of purpose bound money on a blockchain for Islamic aid. This hopefully would define or redefine how Islamic aid goes on for the foreseeable future because it comes with a lot of promises around trust, promises around efficiency, promises around lack of corruption, and much more importantly, the promises of impact. And with us, Dr. Yahya, who is a leading scientist, a mentor for several blockchain initiatives, right connecting with us from the West Bank, Palestine, I believe.
Yes, correct.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. We hope, inshallah, we can have another round of conversation. This time around, it won't be just a short reflection, it will be a deep dive into purpose bound money and other protocols or related concepts within blockchain and IT in general.
I would
Thank you
love
so
to.
much for being with us.
I would love to, Dr. Amin, and thank you very much. You can all find me in LinkedIn, and I will be happy to entertain any question if you have any.
So that's it from Dr. Yahya. He's available on LinkedIn. He's got his email. We'll be sharing the presentation shortly. And again, until we meet again tomorrow, inshallah, we'll continue with the reflection series. I'll say Ramadan Mubarak and Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.
So, Dr. Yahya, we're now offline, all right?
Yeah.
I'll need you to stay for a bit.